Chapter 11 Blazing Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, Mu Yang getting sick before his soul awakening? Yeah, that might be because he's destined to have twin martial souls. People with that kind of potential often show symptoms way before their official awakening. Now that his soul has officially awakened, it's probably making things worse. Maybe we should get him some good tonics to build up his strength, Mu Xie suggested. That could work. Huolai glanced at Mu Yang eating breakfast and nodded subtly. You know, whale gum might be good. Whale gum? Isn't that? You want to give that to Xiaoyang? Mu Xie looked disgusted. How could a kid eat something like that? Huolai rolled his eyes. Get your mind out of the gutter. Whale gum is great for building strength without any side effects. Xiaoyang's been looking pretty weak. Meanwhile, Mu Yang had no idea his aunt and uncle were plotting to feed him whale gum. If he did know, he definitely wouldn't refuse. Whale gum is a treasure. Sure, it's considered a fun treat, but for a soul master, the real benefit is that it improves physical fitness. And the older the gum, the better it works. It's a shame that most soul masters these days don't realize its true potential and just treat it like a novelty. The health benefits are just a bonus to them. Plus, whale gum only comes from cetacean sea soul beasts, making it super popular and expensive among rich nobles. The thing is, you need a decent amount to really see the fitness boost. It's pricey and hard to find, which is why nobody knows the real deal about whale gum. After breakfast, Huolai and Mu Xie took Mu Yang in a carriage towards Blazing Academy, just outside the city. About 10 miles east of Blazing Fire City is a large, sparsely vegetated mountain. At its base stands a red building, home to one of the most famous elemental academies in the Soul Master world, the Blazing Fire Advanced Soul Master Academy. Even a couple of miles out, Mu Yang could already smell a faint burning scent in the air, but for Mu Yang, with his Hokage martial soul, the burning sensation wasn't unpleasant. In fact, it felt kind of nice. They kept going down the wide road, and eventually, the carriage stopped. Mu Yang hopped out and stared at the academy's magnificent gates. Unlike some struggling schools, Blazing Fire Academy is loaded. Their students and teachers are among the best in the Tiando Empire's high-level Soul Master academies. The entrance was a red jade archway over 100 feet wide and 50 feet high, flanked by matching red jade pillars 4 feet thick. The pillars were carved with all kinds of fire-type martial souls, birds, beasts, weapons, you name it. But the showstoppers were the lifelike giant fire dragon on the left pillar and the fire phoenix on the right, wings spread ready for flight. Fire dragons and fire phoenixes are the ultimate fire-type martial souls. Sure, there are other good ones, but they can't compare to those two. Huolai and Huowushuang's horned fire Tyrannosaurus is a great fire beast, but it's just a subspecies of the fire dragon, not the real thing. Across the archway, in the middle, were 4 golden characters with flame patterns. Blazing Academy. Looking through the gate, Mu Yang saw a huge square. In the center stood a tall flagpole, maybe 150 feet high. A red flag with a golden flame fluttered in the breeze, symbolizing the Academy's fiery spirit. Stepping inside Blazing Academy was like entering a world of red. The towers, the paving stones, the student uniforms, even the flowers and trees, all red. Other schools go green. Blazing Fire Academy goes cremation. All the plants near the entrance radiated varying levels of fire-type soul power. These weren't ordinary plants, they were fire-attributed plant soul beasts. Xiaoyang, don't get bored and start destroying these plants. They'll teach you a lesson, Mu Xie said, smiling. Kids, they can be destructive. Give them a stick, and they'll chop down everything within 100 yards. Will they attack students? Some of those plants must be ancient, Mu Yang asked. Nah. Unlike wild soul beasts in the forest, these plants were all cultivated by the Academy's founders. They're pretty chill. As long as you don't mess with them, they won't bother you, Huolai explained. Blazing Academy doesn't just plant fire-type plant soul beasts for show. Besides looking nice, these plants create a training ground for fire-type soul masters. That's the main reason they're there, but the Academy's ultimate training ground isn't the fire plant garden. It's the lava simulation ground in the mountain behind the school. that mountain is a dormant volcano. It hasn't erupted in thousands of years, but the magma is still there. Inside the academy is a tunnel leading into the mountain, straight into the belly of the volcano. Inside the hollowed-out mountain, soul masters can see the swirling magma below. It's one of the best fire-type training spots on the continent. However, the lava training field is seriously hot. Soul masters below the third ring can't handle it for long, even fire types, so, the academy has a rule: only students with a soul power level of the third ring or higher can enter the lava field, to avoid anyone getting killed. Chapter 12: The Value of True Genius. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Half an hour later, Mu Yang walked out of the academy's 100-foot-tall administration building, his admission complete. At just over 6 years old, Mu Yang became the youngest student in Blazing Fire Academy's history. The academy had recruited talented students with innate soul power before, but they were usually older and often the children of academy leaders. Barring any surprises, Mu Yang would be a student at Blazing Fire Academy for many years to come. Even 10 years down the line, he'd only be 16 or 17, younger than most students there. Leaving the administration building, Mu Xie said, "Xiaoyang, wait here. I'm swamped today, but I'll have Wushuang and Xiaowu show you around the campus." "Okay, Auntie, you go do your thing." Mu Yang nodded. His uncle, Huo Lai, was the dean of the academy and had already headed off to work. Mu Xie, his aunt, was also a deputy dean, balancing her own training with academy duties and leading students on soul hunts. Soon, Huo Wushuang and Huo Wu approached. "Huh? Xiaoyang, what are you doing here?" Huo Wushuang asked, surprised. "Big brother, I'm a Blazing Fire Academy student now, why wouldn't I be here?" Mu Yang stated matter-of-factly. "Seriously? Mom, the back door you and Dad opened is a bit much, don't you think? Letting a kid who just awakened his martial spirit into the Advanced Soul Master Academy, aren't we worried about getting laughed at?" Huo Wu chuckled, teasing Mu Xie. "Laughing? Silly girl, you don't know the value of a true genius. Other academies will be green with envy. How could they laugh at us? And forget about Blazing Fire. If Emperor Shui knew about Xiaoyang's talent, the Qianren Royal Academy would roll out the red carpet." Mu Xie playfully tapped Huo Wu's head. Innate soul power was no joke. Despite the risks, the potential was enormous. Innate full soul power and twin martial souls meant that, if he lived long enough, he was practically guaranteed to become a 9-ring titled Douluo. Qianren Royal Academy would do more than just open its doors. Emperor Shui would gladly make Mu Yang prince consort of the empire if he was willing. The princess would have to marry a consort eventually. Why not pick someone who could become a pillar of the empire? "Big brother, is it too late for your sister to jump on the bandwagon?" Huo Wu wrapped her arms around Mu Yang's neck, playfully shaking him. "Is that how you jump on the bandwagon?" Mu Yang groaned, his neck being jostled. "Huh, we're family. Don't sweat the small stuff," Huo Wu said casually. "You've only been able to boss me around for a few years." Mu Yang muttered. He figured a little brother had to let the older sister have her fun. Otherwise, how could he turn around and get even when he was bigger? "Huh? What was that?" Hearing him mutter, Huo Wu gave Mu Yang a pointed look. "I said I was wrong, I'm sorry." Mu Yang quickly caved. "Good boy, your sister's impressed." Huo Wu nodded approvingly. She had a doting older brother and a younger cousin she could tease. Life was good. "Alright, Wushuang, Xiaowu, show Xiaoyang around the academy. He'll be living here from now on." Mu Xie told them. "Mom, don't worry, we've got him." Huo Wu declared with a wave of her hand. Whether it was tradition or just personal preference, Blazing Fire Academy's architecture consisted entirely of red, tower-shaped buildings. Even the dorms, unlike the junior academy, Blazing Fire Academy's students were older. The academy didn't forbid relationships, so students needed some privacy. Plus, the academy was loaded. While students didn't get private villas, they did get single rooms. As a legacy student, Mu Yang didn't have to bunk with the other students. Instead, he got to live in Dean Huolai's private quarters. The tower wasn't huge, barely 70 feet tall, including the spire. The inside was split into 2 floors. The second floor had 4 rooms, so Mu Yang moved into the 3rd bedroom on that floor. After unpacking his stuff from his soul guide storage bracelet and making his bed, Huo Wuxuang and Huo Wu took Mu Yang on a tour of Blazing Fire Academy. Blazing Fire Academy covered a large area. Even without the extinct volcano behind it, the oval-shaped main campus was easily 2,000 acres. Despite its size, the student body and faculty totaled only 500 or 600 people. An ordinary academy wouldn't need so much space, but a high-level Soul Master Academy did. The massive mimic training field and numerous combat training areas required a lot of room. At noon, they were in the academy cafeteria. "Here, Xiaoyang, you're too skinny, eat up." Being a good brother, Huo Wuxuang noticed that Mu Yang's plate was mostly vegetables, so he added a large chicken leg. In Huo Wuxuang's opinion, his little cousin was just malnourished. If he ate meat like him, he'd bulk up in no time. "Big brother, I'm not skinny," Mu Yang protested. "Sure," Huo Wuxuang said, smirking, "you're pale and look like you're about to fall over all the time. If you're not skinny, I'll eat my hat." Still, he didn't want to embarrass his little cousin. He'd just let it slide. Yeah, big brother's right. "Here, Xiaoyang, have my favorite spicy rabbit head." Not to be outdone, Huo Wu added a spicy-looking rabbit head to Mu Yang's plate. "Thanks to my friends for the first monthly ticket of Desuda. Thanks to my friends 202206061636325572, Desoda, 201706171839522243, 202004031841178993, Shinto Emperor, Chenlian Shizasaochen, Shendai Yueni, 202306020034144826, 202004031803000250 for their recommendation votes. In addition, please collect, recommend, and vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 13 Fireworks and Silver Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ugh, spicy rabbit head. Mu Yang blinked, surprised. "Try it. It's awesome." Huo Wu munched on the rabbit head, talking with her mouth full, looking at the delicious-looking spicy rabbit head on his plate. Mu Yang couldn't help but think of his cousin, who shared a nickname with rabbits. Both names had the character Wu in them. Huolai, Mu Xie, and Huo Wuxuang all called Huo Wu Xiao Wu. But while this Xiao Wu loved spicy rabbit head more than anything, the other Xiao Wu was terrified of rabbits and couldn't stand the thought of anyone eating them. "Xiao Wu, rabbits are so cute. How can you eat them?" Huo Wu, "Cute rabbits are perfect for a spicy braise." This little butterfly seemed to be behaving itself and wasn't flapping its wings too much. Other than slipping the extreme flame meditation method to his uncle Huolai without a trace, she hadn't caused too much chaos on the mainland. At least, not yet. If things followed the original story, Xiao Wu would already be enrolled in Notting College, and some titled Douluo would have figured out she was a 100,000-year soul beast, planning to snatch her up as a soul ring and soul bone for his eldest son. 100,000-year soul rings and soul bones. Every soul master would be green with envy. Wasn't that how Tang's got his 100,000-year 9th soul ring? Mu Yang figured the best thing he could do was to ruin Tang Hao's little scheme down the road. And intercepting Tang San and taking out Xiao Wu was pretty necessary. In the original story, the mainland soul master world saw the birth of 3 gods, the angel god Qianren Xuefeng, the sea god Tang San, and the Rakshasa god Bibi Dong. From where Mu Yang stood, and considering the Blazing Fire Academy, neither Bibi Dong and Qianren Xuefeng, nor Tang San were exactly his kind of people. If Mu Yang had to pick the one he least wanted to ascend to godhood, it would be Tang San, hands down. It wasn't just a gut feeling, it was about what was best for him. If the original novel's ending got a rewrite, who knew what would happen to Bibi Dong and Qianren Xuefeng, assuming they still became gods. But he'd heard enough about what went down with Tang San, the future sea god. In the original timeline, Douluo continent became the Tang family continent. The Douluo god realm became the Tang family god realm. How was he supposed to compete with that? Sure, Tang San's actions were understandable. A man had to look out for himself, right? If it were him, this whole Douluo continent and the Douluo god realm would be carrying the Mu surname, Mu Yang, who was dead set against the continent becoming the Tang family continent and the god realm becoming the Tang family god realm, was obviously going to do everything he could to prevent Tang San from pulling off the comeback he managed in the original story. Taking out Xiao Wu and snagging that stupid rabbit's 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone would definitely throw a wrench in Tang San's plans. Without Xiao Wu's sacrifice, the Titan giant ape and Azure bull python wouldn't be sacrificing themselves later on. Without those continual sacrifices from 100,000-year soul beasts, even if Tang San still took the sea god trials like he did in the original, wouldn't Qianren Xuefeng and Bibi Dong have ascended to godhood before he even hit 9-ring title Douluo? Qianren Xuefeng might not be a sure thing. If her Tiando infiltration plan hadn't gone south, the newly acquired Tiando Empire would have been a huge drag, delaying her ascension to the angel god way longer than in the original story, but Bibi Dong shouldn't be affected too much. That widow had started the Rakshasa divine test a long time ago. Of course, taking out Tang San directly would be even better, right? Well, he could give it a shot. But whoever did it couldn't be him or anyone he cared about, unless they wanted to get flattened by a hammer-wielding lunatic. In the original novel, Tang Hao seemed to leave Tang San to his own devices, but he still popped up at critical moments more than once. Maybe he said he was leaving, but he was secretly keeping watch. Otherwise, how could there be so many coincidences? After a hearty meal, Huo Wushuang and Huo Wu took Mu Yang to the heart of the Fire Plant Garden Mimicry Training Field. The Fire Plant Garden covered almost the entire Blazing Fire Academy. But the training bonus wasn't uniform across the whole area. The edge of the academy, for example, had practically no bonus at all. Following Huo Wu and the others along a path paved with red pebbles, Mu Yang found himself in a paradise for fire-type plant soul beasts. His gaze was immediately drawn to a towering plant in the center of the botanical garden, its fiery red branches and leaves adorned with countless silver flowers. A gentle breeze carried a faint, exotic floral fragrance to his nose, and Mu Yang felt instantly refreshed. Seeing Mu Yang's reaction, Huo Wu wore a smug expression and smiled. Xiao Yang, this fire tree silver flower is something special. It's the pride and joy of our Blazing Fire Academy. The Academy's treasure. Mu Yang raised an eyebrow. Huo Wu nodded. Yep. My dad told me this fire tree silver flower has been around since the Academy was founded. After thousands of years and tons of resources, it's now over 50,000 years old. If it's the Academy's treasure, and they're willing to spend so much on it, there must be something pretty special about this fire tree silver flower. I've never even heard of a plant soul beast like that. Mu Yang looked puzzled. Of course. As far as I know, ours is the only fire tree silver flower on the entire mainland. It must be a mutation of some kind of fire attribute plant soul beast. As for why the Academy spends so much on it, Huo Wu paused for dramatic effect, clearly trying to tease him. Mu Yang rolled his eyes. She was so extra. Huo Wu giggled, then said with a flourish, see all those silver flowers in full bloom? The light fragrance they give off has a restorative effect, giving soul masters a little extra meditation time each day, and the fallen petals are treasures too. Dry them out, make tea, and they've got a restorative effect as well. It's not a huge effect, and higher-level soul masters probably won't notice much, but for our students, the benefits really add up over time. Restorative. Mu Yang's eyes lit up, and his gaze at the fire tree silver flower was filled with newfound interest. Wasn't his chronic weakness just because he was burning through too much mental and soul power? If he had a steady supply of silver flowers, wouldn't he finally be able to ditch his fake persona? Chapter 14. Roll hard. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. It's just that the silver flower, which boosts spiritual energy, is Academy property. Playing favorites for me doesn't seem right unless there's a really good reason. Plus, showing off my deduction skills just to get it feels like overkill. if that fire tree and silver flower is sitting pretty at the academy, it can't be that valuable. High-level soul masters probably wouldn't get much out of it, or some other group would have snatched it up already. The Blazing Fire Academy is a decent force, but it's not in the same league as the Empires, the Spirit Hall, or the top sections. Heck, it's even behind the Elephant Armor sect, which is like, second tier. The Elephant Armor sect is one of the big 7 and runs the Elephant Armor Academy, which is just as famous as ours. Come on, bro, let's check it out. And you better start training hard, I'm gonna be riding your coattails later. Wuhu grabbed Mu Yang's arm and dragged him toward the botanical garden where the fire tree and silver flower were. Mu Yang. Huo. The next morning, Mu Yang sat cross-legged on his bed, diving into his ability and working out a spiritual power technique, thinking about how to best recover his soul power. Mu Yang tweaked his daily plan. He switched from using soul-returning ginseng every evening until he hit his limit, to shorter sessions once in the morning and once in the evening. It's like scaling a mountain. Going all the way to the top in one go is way harder than climbing halfway, resting, and then finishing the climb. Knock, knock, knock. A knock at the door. Xiaoyang, you awake? Mu Xia's voice. Yep. Mu Yang stopped his work, the door clicked open, and Mu Xia walked in. Get dressed, Xiaoyang. Your aunt's arranged tutor will be here soon. Be polite. Mu Yang nodded, still in his pajamas. 15 minutes later, a young woman in glasses walked into the living room on the first floor where Mu Yang was waiting. Dean Xia, she greeted. Even for regular faculty, the vice dean is the dean. Hello, Teacher Xu Ping. This is my nephew, Mu Yang. Xiaoyang, Teacher Xu Ping will be teaching you about martial spirits and soul beasts. Mu Xia introduced them. Hi, Teacher Xu, Mu Yang said. Hello, Mu Yang. Dean Xia, aside from first period, I'm free. When would be a good time for me to tutor Xiaoyang? Xu Ping asked with a smile. Mu Xia didn't answer. Xiaoyang, what do you think? Teacher Xu Ping, you can come after first period. I'll be meditating in the afternoon, so come by after 3. Classes at Qihua Academy aren't too demanding, just 2 periods each morning, 8 to 9:30, and 10:00 to 11:30. With Xu Ping done teaching by 9:30, he could squeeze in some time to work on his deduction. The extreme flame meditation method is fire-based, so practicing in the hot afternoon sun might be more effective than doing it in the morning or evening. Study with his tutor until dinner, and then, another deduction session before bed. Mu Yang, the 6-year-old time traveler, was setting up a grind that was tougher than any corporate job, but he knew it'd be worth it. Hard work doesn't guarantee success, but successful people can handle the grind, with talent, a cheat or two, and a killer work ethic. If he couldn't make it, who could? Mu Yang, time to get rolling. Xiaoyang seems eager to learn. Dean Xia, what do you think? Xu Ping nodded to Mu Xia. As for the amount of teaching time, Mu Xia was paying by the hour, so the more teaching, the more money. Sounds good. Teacher Xu Ping, he's all yours starting tomorrow. Mu Xia made it official. It's an honor to help a prodigy grow. Xu Ping meant it. She had already gotten the general idea about Mu Yang's background before coming, a natural with full soul power, destined to become a title Douluo, someone admired by everyone. To be the knowledge teacher of a future legend, plus the tutoring fees, that was a great deal. That evening, after a big dinner in the academy cafeteria, Mu Yang returned home with Wuhu and Wuhu. Seeing his aunt Mu Xia in the living room, Mu Yang said good night and headed for his room to continue his work on creating the law. Xiaoyang, hold on a sec. Mu Xia stopped him. Aunt, what's up? Mu Yang looked at her. You're so frail, Aunt bought you something to help you get stronger. Mu Xia picked up a jade box from the coffee table. Help me get stronger? Mu Yang felt awkward. He just looked frail. He didn't need supplements, and even if he did, regular ones wouldn't cut it. He needed something that boosted his spirit. Mu Xia smiled at his embarrassment and opened the box. Inside was a slightly translucent golden solid. It looked like a bar of yellow laundry soap. Mom, what did you get Xiaoyang? Wuxuang asked. Whale glue, Mu Xie said. Whale glue? Mu Yang blinked and stared at the box again. If he remembered right, whale glue was supposed to improve your physique. Chapter 15 Whale Glue Teaching Method, Part 1. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Huh? Xiaoyang, do you even know what whale glue is? Seeing that Mu Yang seemed to recognize it, Mu Xie's expression soured. Damn it, her nephew was barely 6. Who ratted him out? Not really. I just heard you can make glue out of fish. So, I figured whale glue must come from those whale monster things in the sea, right? Mu Yang denied it quickly, poker-faced. How could he, a pure and innocent soul, know that whale glue was adult product? No way. This stuff was golden, but not too dark. That meant the whale monster wasn't that old. Otherwise, it'd be a dingy yellow color. Mu Xie seemed relieved. She took the whale glue out of the jade box. With a surge of her soul power, a ball of orange gold flames appeared in her hand, and she started roasting it. Whale glue's hard as a rock at room temperature. You have to heat it up to soften it before you can eat it. Regular fire won't cut it, though, not hot enough, but that wasn't a problem for Mu Xie. As a 7-ringed soul saint specializing in fire, she could roast pretty much anything. She could turn the whale monster itself to ash, no problem. Soon, the 1,000-year-old whale glue was melting fast under the orange gold flames, turning into a blob of golden jelly. At the same time, a strange aroma filled the room. It was strong, but didn't spread too far, making Mu Yang, Wuxuang, and Wu start drooling. Seeing the glue was ready, Mu Xie snuffed out the flames. With another pulse of her soul power, the softened whale glue broke into marble-sized balls and fell back into the jade box. Smells so good. Swallowing hard, Wu looked at her mother with greedy eyes. Mu Xie rolled her eyes. Not for you. And you're not exactly weak. This is to help Xiaoyang. What's a little girl like her need with this stuff? Mu Yang. Did we have to bring that up? Pointing to the balls of whale glue in the jade box, Mu Xie handed one to Mu Yang. You can't overdo it, Xiaoyang. It'll backfire. I'll heat one up for you every night. Okay. Taking a ball, Mu Yang nodded and popped it in his mouth while it was still warm. He immediately frowned. It smelled amazing, but it was kind of fishy and slippery. The texture was weird. Luckily, the fishy taste faded quickly, replaced by a powerful aroma. Then, Mu Yang felt the heat rising from his stomach, rushing through his limbs and bones. It was like being in a sauna, getting the deluxe treatment. Super comfortable. Mu Yang groaned in pleasure, exhaling a faint fragrance. Seriously, it smelled incredible, but the heat in his body soon subsided, turning into an uncomfortable warmth, not like the pleasant warmth from before. It wasn't making him feel good, and, given his age and underdeveloped body, he wasn't about to get any ahem ideas. Luckily, it wasn't a big dose. He felt a little strange, but nothing too bad. As for the whale glue's effect on his physical fitness, that was more subtle. Not a quick level up. It was a slow process over time, and not a huge boost to begin with, so the immediate effect wasn't obvious. After a bit, Mu Yang realized he could handle it. He looked back at Mu Xie. You're still a kid. Can't have too much. Shaking her head, Mu Xie put the jade box back in her storage soul guide. TSK. Mu Yang clicked his tongue in disappointment. No doubt about it, whale glue was good stuff, but Mu Xie was right. Too much, and he wouldn't be sleeping tonight. Okay, in a few days, once I've taken more and noticed a real improvement, I'll tell her the whole truth. Then she'll start hoarding it like crazy, and Wuhu and Wuxuang can add soul rings that go way past the normal limits. Whale glue was pricey, but the Hu family could definitely afford to keep the 3 kids stocked up. 2 days later, at the base of the mountain behind Blazing Fire Academy, in the lava training grounds, in a stone room, Huolai opened his eyes, a bright light shining in them. Well, seeing Huolai stop meditating, Mu Xie asked quickly. This flame meditation method is incredible. My trip to Sunset Forest was the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. See ya, maybe Blazing Fire Academy will have another Douluo someday. No, it will have more than one. After carefully feeling the subtle changes in his soul power, Wuhu told Mu Xie, excited. The extreme flame meditation method that Mu Yang had slipped him was extremely detailed, but the soul power circulation was so complex that it took Wuhu this long to master it, but even just the first time meditating, he realized how amazing it was. The actual effect was even better than he thought. The 9-ring tidal Douluo realm didn't seem as impossible as he'd believed, and this was for him, a middle-aged man who'd missed his peak. If he passed it down to the younger generation, who also had fire-type martial souls, not to mention Mu Yang, who was born with full soul power and would definitely become a tidal Douluo, maybe his own kids could catch a glimpse of that realm too. Mu Xie raised an eyebrow. Is this extreme flame meditation method really that good? Her husband was talented, sure, with an 8th level innate soul power. If he just kept practicing, he might become a tidal Douluo eventually, but she knew he wasn't one to exaggerate. If he wasn't at least 80% sure, he wouldn't say something like that. Clearly, this extreme flame meditation method had given him a lot of confidence. Of course. Honestly, this extreme flame meditation method is a treasure for fire attribute martial soul masters. Wuhu praised without hesitation. It was amazing, no doubt. But he still couldn't figure it out. How could such a magical secret be owned by 2 soul masters who died to a pack of 1,000-year-old fire wolf monsters? Well, doesn't matter. The extreme flame meditation method in my hands isn't fake. Besides, they're already dead. It's just an unsolved mystery, no use dwelling on it. After mastering the extreme flame meditation method and seeing how well it worked, Wuhu started coaching Mu Xie. Chapter 16 Whale Glue Teaching Method, Part 2. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Compared to Wuhu, Mu Xie wasn't quite on his level, so her mental focus wasn't as sharp, plus, the extreme flame meditation method was complicated. Even with coaching, it took her a whole week to get the hang of it. Early that morning, Wuhu and Mu Xie brought Mu Yang and the other 2 to the underground chamber. Wuhu unleashed his soul power, creating a soundproof barrier around the room. Dad, Mom, why all the secrecy? Is something big going down? Wuhu asked, confused by his father's caution. Yep, and it's good news. Wuhu glanced at Mu Yang. If his nephew hadn't needed soul rings to level up, he might have missed out on the amazing extreme flame meditation method. Huh? Uncle, Aunt, how'd you know I had good news for you? Mu Yang already suspected what Mu Xie was hinting at. They'd probably mastered the extreme flame meditation method he'd secretly slipped them, and were ready to pass it on. But Mu Yang was about to change the subject. For the last 10 days, Mu Xie had been giving him whale blubber every night. It wasn't much, but he felt his physique improving. It was time to lay out the facts and have a chat. For high-level soul masters, a bit of extra physical strength isn't a game-changer. They're hunting for 1,000-year soul rings anyway, so a few extra years on a ring isn't going to make or break them. But for low-level soul masters, even 100 extra years on a soul ring could be huge. It's like a snowball effect. If you get a head start with your soul rings, it just keeps getting better and better. Normally, you need to be a level 90 quasi-tidal Douluo to snag a 100,000-year soul ring. But with that initial advantage snowballing, maybe you could grab one at level 80 quasi-soul Douluo. Even without soul bones, geniuses get a head start, plain and simple. Wuhu and Wuhu aren't spring chickens, but it's not too late for them either. Xiaoyang, you have good news for us. Wuhu asked, surprised. Is it that your physical weakness has been treated? Mu Xie asked, excited. Aunt, I'm not weak. And haven't I been taking whale blubber every day? I stumbled on its real power. Mu Yang said, feigning surprise. What's the real deal with whale blubber? Doesn't it just nourish the body? Mu Xie asked, a little confused. Exactly. Nourishing the body means improving your physique, right? I've gotten way stronger lately. Mu Yang stated it like it was obvious. The thing is, plenty of people on the mainland have had whale blubber. But they mostly see it as a treat, plus it's expensive, so they don't eat much, and after chowing down, they usually do intense exercise, which just wipes them out. No one's figured out the real value of the stuff. Bro, you're kinda fragile. Maybe the whale blubber's just patching up your weak spots, so you think you're getting stronger. Wu interjected. Sis, I'm not that weak. My physique's not worse than other soul masters at my level, otherwise I wouldn't have landed a 400+ year first soul ring. Regular whale blubber can definitely boost my physique, besides, if it were just patching me up, I wouldn't still look the same, would I? Mu Yang gestured to his pale face. Everyone stared at him. Yeah, the kid still looks like he's got "I'm really weak" stamped on his forehead. Could it actually work? Huo Lai asked, frowning. Unlike Huo Lai knew about Mu Yang's condition. He figured Mu Yang looked weak because of some martial soul disease, not a physical problem. If his physique really was improving, maybe the kid was right. Whale blubber might actually work. Why not let my cousin and his friends try some? Mu Yang suggested, pointing to Huo Wuxuang and Huo Wu. They all looked at each other. Huo Lai and Mu Xia nodded. Trying it out would settle it. And it wouldn't cost much or cause any problems. If it worked, they'd hit the jackpot. As high-level soul masters and Blazing Academy bigwigs, they knew how important a strong physique was for a soul master. Setting that aside for now, Huo Lai turned serious. Today, I'm teaching you a special meditation method. It's way more effective than the usual stuff. You need to take it seriously, but you can't tell anyone about this method, or let anyone know about it in advance, got it? We don't need any trouble. Special meditation method? Huo Wu raised an eyebrow. What's so special about it? Does it have a name? Don't ask so many questions. Just learn it, Mu Xia said, cutting off Huo Wu's curiosity. The extreme flame meditation method had a sketchy past. Huo Lai and Mu Xia decided to keep its name and origin from Mu Yang and the others, to avoid running into whoever it belonged to originally if word got out. It's like stumbling across the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus clan's secret dragon transformation technique, practicing it in secret, and never using it in public. If the news got out, and you weren't stronger than the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus clan, they'd come after you to stop their secret technique from spreading. Besides, knowing the name and origin wouldn't change how well the extreme flame meditation method worked. Chapter 17 Monopoly Plan. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. A week later, in Blazing Academy, 5 people were gathered in the dean's office. Besides Huo Lai and Mu Xia, there was also a beautiful, middle-aged woman and 2 middle-aged men, one built like a brick house, the other lean. Xia, did Brother Lai call us all here today about something important? Yan Ruhua, the beautiful woman, glanced at Huo Lai, who was sitting at the head of the table, and then asked Mu Xia. Yep, and it's good news. If we play our cards right, Blazing Academy could have the strongest students among all 5 elemental academies for the next few decades. We might even be able to compete for the top spot among all the academies on the continent. Mu Xia said, smiling. Compete for first place? You really think so, Xia? The burly man, Yan Zhenming, looked surprised. Blazing Academy was decent, but if you looked at past results from the All-Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy competition, they were generally weaker than Thunder Academy and Divine Wind Academy, and about on par with Tianshui Academy. The only elemental academy Blazing Academy could consistently beat was Plant Academy. And if they couldn't even dominate the 5 elemental academies, how could they possibly compete with, let alone surpass, Tiando Royal Academy, Xingluo Royal Academy, or the powerhouse that was Spirit Hall Academy? Spirit Hall Academy almost always had students at the 5-ring Soul Elder level participating in the Soul Master competition. Blazing Academy hadn't seen a 5-ring participant in 30 years, and that was in a competition with age restrictions, and the person in question, Huo Lai, was sitting right there at the head of the table. The next few decades? Is this method you're talking about something long-term? Xia, Qi Qingyan, the leaner of the 2 men, picked up on that key point and asked curiously. Brother Lai, why don't you tell them? Mu Xie said, turning to Huolai with a smile. Huolai looked around at the three of them, his expression serious. Everyone here is a senior member of the academy. What I'm about to say must not leave this room until we've finalized a plan. Yen Ruhua's spirit was Hellfire Vine. She was a 7-ring control-type soul sage and one of Blazing Academy's vice principals. Yen Zhiming's spirit was Fiery Flag. He was a 7-ring power attack-type weapon soul sage and another vice principal. Qi Qingyan's spirit was Red Flame Bird. He was a 7-ring power attack-type war soul sage, also a vice principal. These three, along with Mu Xie and Dean Huolai, comprised the academy's senior leadership. Seeing Huolai's serious expression, Yen Ruhua and the others nodded solemnly. Whatever Huolai was about to say clearly concerned the academy, and as senior members, they wouldn't do anything to harm its interests. More importantly, as senior members, they stood to gain the most if the academy prospered. Recently, I stumbled upon a major discovery, something that will rock the entire Soul Master world. This discovery is worth at least as much as any soul bone. Ruhua, you handle the academy's finances. How much liquid capital do we have right now? Huolai's eyes landed on Yen Ruhua. We've got a little over 5 million gold soul coins in the bank, but if necessary, we could borrow money from the Empire or the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile clan, given Blazing Academy's reputation. I'd say we could probably get 10 or even 20 million without too much trouble. Yen Ruhua replied after a moment's thought. Blazing Academy wasn't as broke as Shrek Academy. As one of the well-regarded elemental academies, it received regular financial support from the Tiendo Empire. After all, not all Blazing Academy graduates would end up working for the academy. Most would join the Empire. The Tiendo Empire's funding of Blazing Academy was, in a way, an investment in training soul masters for their service. Besides that, Blazing City wasn't the fiefdom of any noble. Administratively, it belonged to the Tiendo Empire, but all taxes from the city and surrounding towns went directly into Blazing Academy's coffers, no strings attached, and if they needed more, they could borrow it. With Blazing Academy's reputation built over centuries, no lender would worry about getting stiffed. Emperor Shui, or even the notoriously spendthrift Ning Grandmaster, would both be generous. So, what is it that's so valuable, Brother Lai? Qi Qingyan asked Huolai. At this point, Qi Qingyan had a pretty good idea of what was going on. Huolai must have found some treasure that would be a major asset to Soul Masters, and his plan was to corner the market before the news got out. Whether they kept it all for internal use or resold it at a premium for a massive profit was something they could figure out once the monopoly was in place, and he wasn't wrong. Huolai had been thinking along those lines after confirming the effects of whale glue on Huowushuang and Huowu. It would have been too selfish to keep this discovery under wraps and quietly spend his own money to buy whale glue for his 3 juniors. Improved physical fitness meant a higher upper limit for soul ring age. Mu Yang and the others could add soul rings that exceeded the usual optimal ratio. Anyone with a little knowledge would be able to estimate the age of their soul rings based on their color. If the age of a soul ring exceeded the limit, it would be obvious unless they never showed it off. Huolai could always choose not to explain to outsiders. If the other party was someone Blazing Academy couldn't afford to offend, he could even attribute it to a soul bone. But it would be hard to hide from his colleagues at the academy. And if more students started showing up with soul rings that were over the age limit, the effects of whale glue would definitely come to light. Since the news was bound to get out eventually, it was better to be proactive. Take Blazing Academy all in, and corner the market on whale glue first. Take advantage of the fact that the news hadn't leaked yet and the price was still low to stockpile it. That way, they wouldn't be scrambling to buy it later at inflated prices. Second, if they ended up with a surplus, they could become the dealers themselves and rake in the profits. After all, whale glue could improve a soul master's physical fitness without interfering with soul bones. Once the news leaked, wealthy powers would inevitably buy it in bulk, and the price would skyrocket. Chapter 18. It's too small, and the pattern is still too small. You are listening at novelfull.audio. People say money isn't everything, and there's definitely some truth to that, but at Blazing Fire Academy, gold soul coins are essential. They cover everything from maintaining the mimicry training grounds and paying the teachers to repairing the spirit training facilities. No dean worth their salt would ever scoff at having more funding for their college. Plus, if Blazing Fire Academy could get its hands on a large supply of whale glue, something other colleges rarely have, offering it as a reward for outstanding students would attract tons of talented kids, seriously boosting the academy's overall prestige and strength. And hey, if you're not aiming to run the most powerful college on the continent, you're not doing your job right. This treasure is whale glue, Huolai finally revealed, no longer keeping it a secret. Whale glue. Yen Ruhua, Qi Qingyan, and Yen Jinming were all stunned. Their eyes widened in disbelief. These weren't naive newcomers, they knew their stuff. But whale glue seemed like a minor thing, not something comparable to a soul bone. I didn't realize it at first, either. You've all met my nephew, Mu Yang. The kid always seemed a bit frail, so Xie and I thought we'd get him some whale glue to build him up. After about 10 days, he told us he felt stronger. Skeptical, I asked Wushuang and Xiaowu to try it, and sure enough, they showed significant improvement in their physical condition too. The boost might not be massive for high-level soul masters, but for those just starting out, it's a game changer. Just imagine if word got out that whale glue could help a soul master handle a 5 or 6 100-year first soul ring, a 1,000-year second ring, a 3 or 4,000-year third, and an 8 or 9,000-year fourth. Soul rings, it would be incredibly popular, and the price would skyrocket. Even if we didn't try to buy low and sell high for huge profits, and instead kept it for our own students as a reward, the most talented soul masters would choose Blazing Fire Academy every time. Even Huolai, the dean of Blazing Academy, with all his experience, was shocked after confirming whale glue's effects. Honestly, aside from not providing a soul bone skill, whale glue was almost as good as an ordinary soul bone, and everyone knows soul bones, even the crappiest century-old ones, fetch a price way beyond what whale glue costs. Of course, most soul masters lucky enough to find soul bones wouldn't sell them for money anyway, unless they were hardcore soul hunters, but there aren't many people out there willing to drop big bucks on soul bones, unless they're ridiculously rich. Brother Lai, whale glue comes from cetacean sea soul beasts. It's rare on the market and popular with nobles. If we want to buy a lot of it, we might not get very far, Yen Ruhua said, finally processing the news. We should do both. Ruhua, are you suggesting we send our masters out to hunt these sea creatures ourselves? Qi Qingyan asked, stroking his chin. Yen Jinming shook his head before Yen Ruhua could answer. That wouldn't work. We're all fire-type soul masters. Our strength would be severely diminished at sea. A 6-ring soul emperor could probably be taken down by a 10,000-year sea soul beast, given the home field advantage, and most cetacean sea soul beasts are tough. We'd be inefficient and take on a lot of risk working alone. Yen Ruhua's eyes gleamed. I didn't say we'd go it alone. We should bring Qianren Academy into this. Water and ice soul masters are much better suited to sea hunting than us fire starters, plus, the Spirit Hall has been getting stronger lately. They've even forced the Clear Sky clan to close their doors and hide. This continent is headed for chaos, I'm telling you. Isn't Xie's nephew a natural prodigy with full soul power and twin spirits? He's destined to be one of the strongest on the continent. Let's swallow Qianren Academy whole. When our academies merge, it'll make people think twice about causing trouble. And I've already got a name, Ice and Fire Academy, that the 4 Huolai. This woman's got some serious ambition. Huolai and the others were almost speechless. Huolai realized his vision wasn't as grand as he thought, he'd just been thinking about buying some goods or making a quick buck. Yen Ruhua was already planning to annex another elemental academy. But Huolai had to admit he was intrigued. Again, if you don't want to be the dean of the most powerful college on the continent, you're in the wrong job. Ahem, let's put the whole Ice and Fire Academy thing on hold for now. As for whale glue, we'll have people secretly buy what they can on the market. And we'll post rewards in coastal cities for recovering cetacean sea soul beast carcasses. Let those sea soul masters do the hunting for us. The sea's dangerous, and we don't want anyone getting hurt. Huolai made his decision. Gold soul coins were replaceable. He didn't want his academy's masters risking their lives when they could pay someone else to do the work. The goal was to get whale glue. How they got it wasn't really important, and Huolai admitted he had a bit of a fear of the sea. Being a fire soul master, it wasn't his fault. History had taught land-based soul masters that the ocean was a no-go zone, especially for fire types without the ability to fly. For example, he, an 8-ring soul Douluo, could easily take down a normal land soul beast under 80,000 years, but against a sea soul beast in its own territory, he might not be able to beat a 50,000-year-old one. Sea soul beasts are just tougher than their land counterparts, which is why there are so many 100,000-year ones in the ocean. Nobody below a level 97 titled Douluo would even think about trying to steal soul rings and bones from a 100,000-year sea soul beast on the mainland. Unless you're a level 97 titled Douluo or higher, trying to mess with a 100,000-year sea soul beast is basically signing your own death warrant. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. More than 10 days later, 2 days after Wuhu Xuefeng also got the hang of the extreme flame meditation method. Seeing both his cousins master it, Muyang pretended to learn the extreme flame meditation method the following night. With that done, he'd finally managed to secretly pass the technique on to his 4 relatives. Now Muyang could also openly practice the extreme flame meditation method he'd been whitewashing in front of his aunt and the others. Meanwhile, in Qianren City, at a fancy prince's pad. What? You can't get your hands on any whale glue? Prince Xuefeng, looking surprised, asked his palace's head butler in the lavish hall. Your Highness, I checked all the big trading houses in Qianren City, and they're all out. Turns out someone's been buying it all up, like they're trying to corner the market. The middle-aged butler discreetly wiped his brow as he explained. Not even at the 7 Treasures Trading Company? Xuefeng pressed, unwilling to give up. When you get to a certain age, well, let's just say some things get harder to do. Whale glue would really help him out. Xuefeng could feel like a young buck again. Without it, he was just an old, dried-up carrot. The butler shook his head. Damn it! Who's messing with me? Xuefeng cursed, clearly annoyed. He had a pair of hot twin cat-eared girls waiting for him tonight. He shouldn't have thrown that big party last night, using up all the mansion's whale glue supply. It was like a guy addicted to boner pills suddenly getting cut off. Talk about withdrawal. Any idea who's behind this? Xuefeng asked the butler, still fuming. The butler shook his head again. Because it's expensive and has a specific use, whale glue buyers are usually rich or powerful, big spenders. So the trading houses aren't going to spill secrets easily. Besides, a prince's butler doesn't carry the same weight as the prince himself. And even the trading houses might not know who's buying. Customers don't have to show ID to buy stuff, just pay the cash. Xuefeng wasn't the only one who noticed the whale glue shortage and suspected someone was trying to monopolize it. Fengji, the head of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect, who keeps the whale glue market booming every year, got the news from the president of the 7 Treasures Trading Company, which answers to him. Whale glue is really just a small side business, nothing flashy. The 7 Treasures Trading Company buys and sells it, but it's not something someone like Fengji, the big boss, would usually bother with. But hey, Fengji has a thing for it. Fengji looks young, but he's actually over 50. Without whale glue, how could he afford to keep rescuing those hot young ladies at the Qianren auction house? Sir, the president asked if we should investigate who's buying it all up. A 7 Treasures Glazed sect disciple working at the trading company asked Fengji. Nah, it's just whale glue. Let it go. Fengji waved dismissively. Ning isn't Xuefeng. He plans ahead. Even if every drop of whale glue disappears from the market, he has enough stashed away to last him years. So, who's buying what doesn't really affect him? Besides, it's good for the 7 Treasures Trading Company's business when rich folks are throwing money around. As the guy in charge, he should be happy. As for anyone else who needs whale glue, that's their problem. Ning's got his supply. Time flies, and 2 years zipped by. Under the moonlight, Muyang sat cross-legged on a soft cushion on his balcony, eyes closed, calmly working on his spiritual power, turning the moonbeams into his own power. About 6 months earlier, Mu Yang had figured out a method for cultivating spiritual power through hard work and using his special ability. The method is called Taiyin refining the spirit. Draw and absorb moonlight, ignite the Taiyin star in the sea of consciousness, and turn it into spiritual power. Unlike the extreme flame meditation method which boosts soul power levels, Taiyin refining the spirit has 5 levels, from weakest to strongest: fantasy moon, half moon, full moon, bright moon, and Taiyin, lighting up a vague, dreamlike full moon in the sea of consciousness marks the entry into the first level, fantasy moon. When that moon is clear and about to become solid, you've mastered fantasy moon, and your spiritual power is equal to a soul master at level 30. When the full moon solidifies into a real half moon, you've mastered the second level, half moon, and your spiritual power is equal to a soul master at level 60. When the half moon becomes a full moon, you've mastered the third level, full moon, and your spiritual power is equal to a soul master at level 90, as the solid full moon continues to be refined, and the moonlight shines brightly. You've mastered the fourth level, bright moon, and your spiritual power is approaching the level 100 bottleneck. When the glowing bright moon turns into the eternal Taiyin star, radiating Taiyin light, that's the 5th level, Taiyin. The final, 5th level of Taiyin is clearly aimed at spiritual power at level 100 or higher. Also, after mastering Taiyin refining spirit to the 5th level, the Taiyin light in the practitioner's sea of consciousness will never fade, and their soul will become immortal. As for levels higher than that, Mu Yang stopped after figuring out the 5th level of Taiyin. Level 100 was still a long way off, and it didn't make sense to waste time on it for now. Maybe because Mu Yang's own soul power is way stronger than most people's, he quickly reached the top of the first level, Yue'er, in 6 months of Taiyin refining spirit practice. Now his spiritual power is as strong as a normal level 30 soul master. But Taiyin refining spirit has a drawback, or at least a limitation: it can't be practiced normally during the day. Even if you try, it can only be used to restore spiritual power. Also, Taiyin refining spirit's effectiveness depends on the day and the weather. On rainy nights when the moon is hidden, or when the moon isn't as big as it is mid-month, cultivation slows down. If you ignore the weather, practicing during a full moon is almost twice as effective as during a new or waning moon. Chapter 20 Return to Sunset Forest. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. It's also worth mentioning that figuring out the Taiyin refining spirit's spiritual power cultivation method was way harder than the extreme flame meditation method. The reason it only took about a year and a half to deduce Taiyin refining spirit, while the less complicated extreme flame meditation method took several years, is because his spiritual power was stronger than before his martial soul awakened. This greatly improved how fast he could figure things out with his innate ability, but the biggest thing was that he had his first soul skill, which could restore spiritual power, the soul-returning ginseng. Plus, the Blazing Fire Academy rewarded outstanding students with the Academy's treasure, silver flowers that bloom on the fire tree and silver flower, which nourished the spirit and let Mu Yang practice longer each day. Eventually, his practice ended for the night, and Mu Yang got ready to head back to his room and crash. Normally, Mu Yang, being the workaholic he was, would still be up at this hour, trying to figure out another set of body-refining exercises. After all, he already had meditation and mental training methods. If he wanted to be well-rounded in essence, chi, and spirit, he needed physical training too, but he couldn't pull another all-nighter. He had things to do in the morning, so he needed his rest. Just then, a figure appeared on the balcony of the room next door. A second later, Wuhu, in her pajamas, hopped over the balcony railing and landed beside Mu Yang. Seriously, Mu Yang? Still up in the middle of the night? No wonder you're always so weak. Seeing that Mu Yang, who was already frail, was staying up late again, Wuhu looked annoyed. Yeah, I'm going to bed now, he replied. After being called weak for years, Mu Yang was used to it and didn't bother arguing. He just nodded. Go. You've got soul hunting tomorrow morning. Seeing Mu Yang being so agreeable, Wuhu, like a caring sister, nodded and immediately hustled him back into his room to sleep. That's right. After becoming a first-ring soul master, Mu Yang had been practicing for over 2 years. Now his soul power was at level 20, making him a quasi-great soul master, and he was ready to add soul rings and level up again. The next morning, after breakfast, Mu Yang followed Huolai to the gate of Qihua Academy. A slim young man with short reddish-brown hair was already waiting there. "Dean," he said, seeing Huolai coming with Mu Yang. The short-haired boy stepped forward to greet him, then smiled and held out his right hand to Mu Yang. "Hey, Mu Yang. I'm Huiyun." As the most talented and youngest student at the academy, Huiyun knew who he was, but they hadn't really hung out before. "Hey, Huiyun," Mu Yang replied. He didn't recognize him, but he smiled and shook his hand anyway. "Xiaoyang, Huiyun's soul power is also at level 30, so it's perfect for you guys to go soul hunting together in Sunset Forest. And if all goes well, you'll be teammates in the next Soul Master competition." Huolai explained. Mu Yang suddenly got it. He still couldn't place Huiyun's name. Too many people at Qihua Academy were named Hua, most of them had reddish hair, and a lot of them had the same names. Plus, he mostly stayed home, so how would he know who this was? But Huiyun, from the Qihua Academy team in the Soul Master competition in the original story, rang a bell. If he remembered correctly, wasn't Huiyun's martial soul a fire-type bird, making him an agility-based attacker? And wasn't his soul power over level 40 during the Soul Master competition? Of course, soul power levels during the Soul Master competition in the original story weren't everything. The students' ages varied. They might all be 4-ring soul masters, but the oldest might be in their 20s, while the youngest was only 14 or 15. There was a huge difference in their skill, so you couldn't compare them directly. Feng Xiaotian was the worst offender. He was obsessed with his cousin, but hey, he finally got her. The real problem was that he spent too much time tinkering with his soul skills instead of actually training his soul power. So, even with full innate soul power, he was only level 44 at 24. That was a real waste of potential. If Feng Xiaotian had just focused on training his soul power, he might have been a 5-ring soul king or even a 6-ring soul emperor during the Soul Master competition. 2 days later, deep inside Sunset Forest, *bang, star, with a loud thud, Huolai, channeling his one-horned fire Tyrannosaurus martial spirit, smacked a fire sparrow soul beast out of the air. Even with just a basic dragon claw attack, not a powerful soul skill, the over 2,000-year-old fire sparrow's soul beast couldn't take it and plummeted from the sky. After all, he was an 8-ring soul Douluo, so taking down a 1,000-year-old soul beast was a piece of cake. *bang, smoke and dust exploded as the fire sparrow soul beast crashed to the ground, injured and unconscious. Huolai glanced at the badly hurt fire sparrow soul beast, turned to Huiyun beside him, and waved. "Go." 2 years ago, Huolai wouldn't have hunted a 2,000-year-old soul beast for his students. A soul ring that old was beyond the ideal limit for a 3rd soul ring, and a level 30 quasi-soul master couldn't handle it. But as a 4th soul ring for a 4-ring soul master, 2,000 years was too young. Things had changed. Since they'd mostly finished their monopoly plan, while most Qihua Academy students were still the same, a few talented ones got special training. This special training involved giving outstanding students whale glue to boost their physical strength and add soul rings older than the ideal limit. Huiyun was one of those students, and he was tough enough to handle a 3rd soul ring over 2,000 years old. Huiyun only joined Qihua Academy after he reached the 2nd ring Great Soul Master stage, so he already had his 1st and 2nd soul rings. Otherwise, if he'd taken the Academy's whale glue before his 1st soul ring, the limit for his 3rd soul ring would definitely have been over 3,000 years. "Thank you, Dean." Huiyun bowed, his body glowing with red soul power as he channeled his fire crane martial soul. His 200-year soul rings appeared, his fingers turned into sharp red crane claws, and he stepped forward to pierce the fire sparrow soul beast's soft jaw. *thwack, star, with a wet sound, bright red blood bloomed as the sharp crane claws went straight into the brain. Golden light spread out, and a purple 1,000-year soul ring slowly formed from the fire sparrow soul beast's body.